And so we're still there. Douglas Macgregor is a retired U.S. Army colonel and author of the fantastic book Margin of Victory. He joins us tonight. Colonel, thanks very much for coming on.
Sure.
So I don't think I've never seen a president be that honest about anything, actually. He announces we're pulling all American troops out of Syria. As he just noted, the place went crazy, the place being Washington, and we're still there. What happened and why?
Well, the president, by now, I think, understands that he's surrounded inside the White House and within the administration by people who are part of this bipartisan globalist elite. In other words, the inner circle of advisors, whether it's John Bolton or Mr. Pompeo from the State Department or any number of other people, along with the general officers, the 4 stars, and the senior intelligence operatives and officers, all of whom have risen to great rank over the last 20 years as a result of their participation in these strategic failures that you're discussing, are absolutely committed to stopping any change. They're defending in their minds what's left of the post-war liberal order that really crumbled back in the early 90s with the dissolution of the Soviet Union. So the notion of removing anyone from anywhere is anathema to those people. And then finally, there's the possibility that if you start withdrawing forces, which, by the way, in most cases are not needed where they are today at all, 2 things will happen. First of all, you're going to erode the support for the authorization for the use of military force and this slush fund, this $200 billion overseas contingency fund that is part of this massive spending exercise that Congress loves. And then secondly, you're going to watch as the various actors in places like Syria and Iraq and elsewhere, Russians, Syrians, Iranians, Turks, and others, all fall out with each other, which normally you would regard as a strategically positive development.
Yes.
But we seem to want to force cohesion on them, give them a reason to stay together and essentially ally against us.
The reason being opposition to us. Watching the president say that as clearly as he did it give you a sense of a man being kind of held captive almost by the people around him? I wanted to pull out the troops from Syria, they wouldn't let me. That's really what he's saying.
Yeah, it's depressing. 2 things the president should remember. At the end of the day, his is the voice that counts in the White House.
Yes.
He is the commander-in-chief. He's under no obligation to take more bad advice, to drink more poison from the poison well. And when he looks at these people, when he looks at the 4 stars that march in there, active and retired, when he looks at the various advisors that he's got on his staff, not just John Bolton, all of them, he needs to remember something. All of these people have put into practice something Winston Churchill once said. Success consists of moving from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. They've taken this to an extreme, and he needs to get rid of them.
I'm sorry to laugh, but that's such a perfect quote in this case. Do you think that there is hope for getting out, just to pick a small example, of Syria?
Of course, absolutely. But when Mr. Bolton runs in the room or the chairman of the Joint Chiefs says, oh, no, you can't do that, the world will end, he has to say, thank you for your interest in national defense. We're leaving. And see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think what he'll see is what we discussed, the falling out of the various actors that will begin to tangle
It's not
with
just
each other.
them, it's the entire on-air staff of MSNBC and CNN and Max Boot and the rest of them. Yeah. Colonel Macgregor, thank you very much. Great
Thank
to see
you.
you tonight.